Welcome to another edition of That Time When. Matt Miller with you. This is the podcast series where I take you through the archive of Trekzone, diving into podcasts that you might have missed or you want to catch again if you're new to the channel. This might be content that you haven't seen before. On this edition, let's flash back to the time when we had a double treat from the UK.
This is Trekzone's That Time When.
Well, it's a double treat from the UK today on a Trekzone conversation. Joining me a little bit later, Nick Cook will be talking about his next intrepid adventure. But right now, Mr. Gary O'Brien, the Holy Core, the Chance Encounter man, is here and he's with me. Gary, welcome back to Trekzone.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I can't believe it's been 4 months since the Holy Core was released.
Has it really? Yeah, I suppose it has been, hasn't it? It's mad.
That is crazy. It's up to 36,000 views now on YouTube. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite pleased about it. I think I pretty much hit everything I wanted to hit with it. I think it's hangs together well, and I think the story's quite good. I think the production's, pretty fair. People seem to like it. The comments are generally really positive and supportive, so that's a good sign. So, yeah, in the round, I'm pretty pleased with it, yeah.
The thing that I love as well is that in the months that have followed, and up until a couple of days ago as well, new content being released with behind-the-scenes vignettes of the making of the show and expanding on some of the things that you had to do to get the fan film done. Were you always sort of planning on these sort of things as you were in production, or is this sort of just footage from the set sort of style?
It was sort of in the back of my mind the whole time, because when I made Chance Encounter, I was shooting a lot of just documenting the build of the set, and then got a few other bits and bobs here and there when we were actually shooting. And because we had Kickstarters for the first film, I was kind of I felt obligated to make little update videos to keep all the backers up to date as we were making the film. This time, obviously, the funding was different, so I didn't. And frankly, I just don't imagine I'd have had the time to keep making little videos and updates during the production of the Holy Core, but I did still grab the camcorder whenever I could and just film just the building of the sets and all that stuff, just as much for myself as for anything else really. But in the back of my mind, I kind of hope to put out some making of behind the scenes stuff, because again, with Chance Encounter, I put out I think it's 15-minute or maybe 20-minute behind the scenes making of video when that film was finished. And so I thought, well, that's a fun little thing to do. So I kind of sort of in the back of my mind figured I'd do that again. But then I figured I had quite a lot of this footage, and I thought, well, rather than making trimming loads and loads of it out to get it down to 20 minutes or half an hour, I thought it made more sense to do just a series of smaller little bite-sized ones, because they were quicker to make, and each little video could potentially wean its way through the internet and hopefully find a different person who might come back and watch the film. So rather than just sticking one video up with a making of, I figured I'd stick out a whole bunch.
And joining me now from the UK, I love the magic of technology, it's Mr. Nick Cook from Starship Intrepid Films. Nick, welcome back to a Trekzone conversation.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Hey, now a little bit.
It's been a long day.
It has been. Hey, little birdie tells me you've got a new fan film coming up.
Yeah, I'm just about to go into production on that, actually. I'm currently just trying to get all the cast together for a table read. So, yeah, we are hopefully good to go before too many more weeks are down, because we've got quite a lot of location stuff, exteriors to shoot, and the weather here starts to really deteriorate once we get into kind of September, October. So really kind of need to get it done sooner rather than later.
Now, the project is called Echoes. Can you tease us a little bit on what it might be about? I've seen a couple of images, so I think there might be a bit of time travel involved, perhaps?
Possibly. If I say one of the characters we cast for it, there was a description when I sent out the casting sides for actors, was that a character who found herself lost in a time and place not her own. I guess, given the imagery I put out, that kind of gives a pretty big hint about it.
Yeah, that's just teasing.
Well, you've seen the images, Matt, so yeah. I'm not going to be giving much away to say that a character from the 23rd century finds herself in the 24th. And it's how that happens and the action that revolves around that incident is, the story we're telling. But there is a twist to it. It might not be quite as... I think it's a different take on what you normally see in time travel stories. It's certainly fan-written time travel stories.
And the best thing about where you are is the beautiful locations that you can film in. And obviously, every fan filmmaker that looks around can find some beautiful locations to film in. And with a worldwide audience, something as mundane as the local park or the local forest or bush is such a remarkable and unique location to those watching in other parts of the world that haven't necessarily or haven't been out to Australia or to the UK. Like me with your locations.
Absolutely. I think you're increasingly seeing people who make fan films making use of the locations they have available to them, the exteriors they have available to them. And it's nice to be doing stuff on ships and starbases and things like that and space battles and so forth, but actually being able to go out on location. I mean, if you don't have access to sets, there's a remarkable amount of production value in finding a beautiful location and just filming it there. I mean, we're not filming all of it on location. There's some shipboard action and stuff like that. Echoes is going to be a fairly traditional kind of action in orbit and action on the planet. So you've got kind of two threads of the story going on. The main thrust is what's going on the planet, but there's stuff going on in orbit as well. So in many ways, it's a very traditional kind of Star Trek story. Certainly one of the actors said that anyway about the dialogue and so forth. And there's an element of time travel, but there is, I think, an interesting twist to the time travel.